States was ruled by politicians who fought only for insiders, illegal aliens, career criminals, corporate lobbyists, prisoners, and above all, foreign nations, which took advantage of us at levels never seen before. They flooded your cities and towns with illegal aliens. They decimated your hard-earned savings.
I do want to say I'm more Christ-chucked than he is. Notice how I have more Christmas shit behind me.
They just released a level of violent felons
I'm more Christ-respecting.
we had never seen to prey on innocent. They caused war. They caused
also,
mayhem.
He's low energy because it's 9 p.m. on the East Coast, brother. He's an old man, a demented old man.
You have a president who fights for the law-abiding, hardworking people of our country who make this nation work. And after just 1 year, we have achieved more than anyone could have imagined. Starting on day one, I took immediate action to stop the invasion of our southern border. For the past 7 months, 0 illegal aliens have been allowed into our country, a feat which everyone said was absolutely impossible. Do you remember when Joe Biden said that he needed Congress to pass legislation to help close the border? He was always blaming Congress and everyone else. As it turned out, we didn't need legislation. We just needed a new president. We inherited the worst border anywhere in the world.
I don't think any amount of things are going great from Donald Trump is going to make people feel less pain in their wallets.
We went from
something to consider, chat.
We're deporting criminals, restoring safety.
He can talk about how dope shit is all day, every day.
Just take a look at Washington, D.C.
But that's not going to change the way people experience the world.
Before. And they decimated the bloodthirsty foreign cartels. We did that all by ourselves with our people, and we're so proud of it because they were poisoning and destroying our population. Brought in by ocean and by sea are now down 94%. We have broken the grip of sinister woke radicals in our schools, and control over those schools is back now in the hands of our great and loving states, where education belongs. After rebuilding the United States military in my first term, and with the addition we are adding right now, we have the most powerful military anywhere in the world, and it's not even close. I've restored American strength, settled 8 wars in 10 months, destroyed the Iran nuclear threat, and ended the war in Gaza, bringing for the first time in 3,000 years peace to the Middle East, and secured the release of the hostages, both living and dead. Here at home, we're bringing our economy back from the brink of ruin. The last administration and their allies in Congress looted our treasury for trillions of dollars, driving up prices and everything at levels never seen before. I am bringing those high prices down, and bringing them down very fast. Let's look at the facts. Under the Biden administration, car prices rose 22%, and in many states, 30% or more. Gasoline rose 30 to 50%. Hotel rates rose 37%. Airfares rose 31%. Now, under our leadership, they are all coming down, and coming down fast. Democrat politicians also
don't
the cost
worry.
Of
It's vibeflation.
But we that too. The price
the
of
inflator in your wallets is fake. I'm telling you. Also, we will make it illegal to say it's real.
The price of eggs
also, none of the numbers are ever going to come out because we killed everyone in the Labor Bureau.
And it's not done yet.
We brought everyone from the Labor Bureau of Statistics here, and we are going to assassinate them.
Of the efforts that we have underway
for giving wrong numbers.
Wallets and bank accounts in the new year. After years of record-setting falling incomes, our policies are boosting take-home pay.
Saddam Hussein had the right
pace.
idea.
Under Biden, real wages plummeted by 3,000. Under Trump, the typical factory worker has seen a wage increase of $1,300.
Yeah, he's reading the W list.
For construction workers, it's $1,800. For miners, we're bringing back clean, beautiful coal. It's $3,300.
I love miners.
And for the first time
miners are my favorite.
Wages are rising.
Speaking of miners,
faster.
Jeffrey, good guy, misunderstood.
The wages, just look at it.
Wait,
wages
what?
are going up much faster than inflation. How big is that? Very importantly, there are more people working today than at any time in American history, and 100% of all jobs created since I took office have been in the private sector rather than government. which is the only way to make a country powerful and great. This historic trend will continue. Already, I've secured a record-breaking $18 trillion of investment into the United States, which means wage increases.
That's
growth,
much smaller than what he was saying like last month. It was like 500 trillion.
Much of this success has been accomplished by tariffs. My favorite word, tariffs, which for many decades have been used successfully by other countries against us, but not anymore. Companies know that if they build in America, there are no tariffs, and that's why they're coming home to the USA in record numbers.
Where
they're
are
building
they?
Factories and plants at levels we haven't
Are they
seen.
invisible?
AI,
Why haven't we seen them?
We're doing what nobody thought was even
the
possible.
Hyundai factory was assaulted by ICE.
There has never, frankly, been anything like it.
And that shit came before
1 year ago,
you
our country was
decided to
dead.
do the tariffs
we were
anyway.
absolutely dead. Our country was ready to fail, totally failed. Now, we're the hottest country anywhere in the world.
Yeah, unemployment has risen, by the way,
every single
to
leader that I've
2021
spoken to
levels.
over the last 5 months. Next year, you will also see the results of the largest tax cuts in American history that were
we
really
will,
accomplished
but
through
not
our
in the way that he
great,
thinks.
Big, beautiful bill, perhaps the most sweeping legislation ever passed in Congress. We wrapped 12 different bills up into one beautiful bill. That includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. Under these cuts, many families will be saving between $11,000 and $20,000 a year, and next spring is projected to be the largest tax refund season of all time. Because of tariffs, along with the just passed One Big Beautiful Bill, tonight I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this, 1,450,000 military service members will receive a special, we call Warrior Dividend before Christmas, a Warrior Dividend. In honor of our nation's founding in 1776, we are sending every soldier $1,776. Think of that. And the checks are already on the way.
We're definitely going to war with Venezuela,
understood that one until about 30 minutes ago.
Oh, we're definitely going to war with Venezuela. That's the lobster. That's the lobster dinner, baby.
Nobody deserves it more than our military, and I say congratulations to everybody. And by the way, we now have record enlistment in our military, and last year we had among the worst recruitment numbers in our military's history.
It's because it's no longer woke and gay.
In addition, I'm doing what no politician of either party has ever done, standing up to the special interests to dramatically reduce the price of prescription. I negotiated directly with the drug companies and foreign nations, which were taking advantage of our country for many decades, to slash prices on drugs and pharmaceuticals by as much as 400, 500, and even 600%. In other words, your drug costs will be plummeting downward, and I used the threat of tariffs to get foreign countries who would never have done it to pay the cost of this giant dollar reduction. They stopped ripping us off.
Why is he yelling so much?
As of 4 days ago. There has never been anything like this in the history of our country. Drugs have only gone up, but now they'll be going down by numbers never conceived possible. It's called Most Favored Nation, and no president has ever had the courage or ability to get this done until now. The first of these unprecedented price reductions will be available starting in January through a new website, TrumpRx.gov. And these big price cuts will greatly reduce the cost of health care. I'm also taking on the gigantic health insurance companies that have gotten rich on billions of dollars of money that should go directly to the people. The money should go to the people. That's you. So they can buy their own health insurance, which will give far better benefits at much lower costs. It will be far better health insurance. The current Unaffordable Care Act was created to make insurance companies rich. It was bad health care at much too high a cost. And you see that now in the steep increase in premiums being demanded by the Democrats, and they are demanding those increases, and it's their fault. It is not the Republicans' fault. It's the Unaffordable Care Act, and everybody knew it. Again, I want the money to go directly to the people so you can buy your own health care. You'll get much better health care.
Yeah. No, insurance providers will definitely lower prices without the subsidies.
That have gotten rich, and the Democrat Party, which is totally controlled by those same insurance companies.
It's just going to triple without said subsidies, but
that's
you know,
okay
but
with
you'll
me,
have money to buy
you, the people, are
a
finally
shittier
going to
version
be
of
getting
it.
great health care at a lower cost. Another major focus is the cost of energy. For years, the radical left Democrats exploited the green energy scam as an excuse to funnel many billions of dollars into their own massive slush funds, as their energy restrictions drastically drove up prices, and they drove them up at record levels. Electricity costs surged 30 to 100% under Biden, and the typical family lost $5,000 to $10,000 in higher energy costs. Think of that, $5,000 to $10,000 you lost. On day one, I declared a national energy emergency. Gasoline is now under $2.50 a gallon in much of the country. In some states, it, by the way, just hit $1.99 a gallon. And within the next 12 months, we will have opened 1,600 new electrical generating plants, a record, and it's a record that won't be beaten by practically, I would say, by anybody, or certainly not very soon. Prices on electricity and everything else will fall dramatically. The Democrat
he has to
inflation
say that because
disaster,
prices
again,
on electricity have been going up spectacularly in everywhere where they've built these fucking data
home
centers.
Ownership and indeed the American dream. The yearly cost of a typical new mortgage increased by $15,000 under Democrat rule. In 11 months, we've already gotten that annual cost down by $3,000, and it's coming down a lot lower. Wait till you see. The numbers are going to be shocking. And I'll soon announce our next chairman of the Federal Reserve, someone who believes in lower interest rates by a lot, and mortgage payments will be coming down even further. Early the new year, and you will see this, in the new year, I will announce some of the most aggressive housing reform plans in American history. A major factor in driving up housing costs was the colossal border invasion. We have never been invaded. This is the worst thing that, frankly, in my opinion, the worst thing that the Biden administration did to our country is the invasion at the border. The last administration and their allies in Congress brought in millions and millions of migrants and gave them taxpayer-funded housing while your rent and housing costs skyrocketed. Over 60% of growth in the rental market came from foreign migrants.
We gave free housing to every Guatemalan. It was crazy.
And flooded emergency rooms, getting free health care and education paid for by you, the American taxpayer. They also increased the cost of law enforcement by numbers so high that they are not even to be mentioned. For the first time in 50 years, we are now seeing reverse migrants go back home, leaving more housing and more jobs for Americans. In the year before my election, all net creation of jobs was going to foreign migrants. Since I took office, 100% of all net job creation has gone to American-born citizens. 100%.
Eight new jobs have been created. 800,000 lost, but all the
eight American
came
citizen, or it serves those
to Americans
who break the laws, cheat the system, and seek power and profit at the expense of our nation. Look at Minnesota, where Somalians have taken over the economics of the state and have stolen billions and billions of dollars from Minnesota and indeed from the United States of America.
Unlike me, when I steal, I do it the white way. Or Brett Favre, he is a good guy. He can throw the football.
Decent Americans were forced to watch as corrupt politicians plundered the halls of power, exploited our taxpayers, and pillaged every system that makes civilized society function. But
by the
not
way,
anymore.
Fraud run by a white woman, for the record.
We're putting America first, and we are making America great again. Very simple. We are making America great again. Tonight, after 11 months, our border is secure. Inflation is stopped. Wages are up. Prices are down. Our nation is strong. America is respected, and our country is back, stronger than ever before. We're poised for an economic boom.
He's not invading Venezuela. He's invading Mali.
Never seen. Soon we will host the World Cup and the Olympics, both of which I got. but most importantly, we will celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. Could be no
He's like, I
tribute
got it.
to this epic milestone than to complete the comeback of America that began just 1 year ago. When the world looks at us next year, let them see a nation that is loyal to its citizens, faithful to its
it's going to be a
workers,
World Cup
to its
by
identity,
Americans.
certain to its destiny, and the envy of the entire globe. We are respected again like we have never been respected before. To each and every one of you, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. God bless you all.
Okay, he didn't announce that he's going to war with Venezuela. Lamau, no one respects us, dog. I think at this point, it's more so people are just like afraid because it's like a belligerent man with a tremendous amount of power and with all of the intent to wield it. What was the point of this? Oh, he's hurting. His numbers are bad. And he knows that there's like big issues. He knows that there are big issues with the way he's being perceived right now, especially as it pertains to affordability and things of that nature. But the reason why I was watching this was because I thought he might unveil the war with Venezuela. Well, he might have sneakily done that because in the Oval Address, he said more than 1 million troops will receive a special warrior dividend before Christmas. And that is $1,776. So that might be like the military. Because in the military, when you get a lobster dinner in the Navy, that means you're about to get deployed, right? And it made me feel like it was a steak and, surf and turf, steak and lobster announcement. What the fuck is any military guy going to do with $1,700? Like, okay, you can pay some of your rent for the month.
Speech. And at one point, he credited his own success to tariffs. Of course, that comes despite what we heard from the Federal Reserve Chair in recent days, saying that the tariffs are driving
Someone in the chat said, buy RAM. What kind of RAM? No, the fuck do you mean? No, all of that's going to AI, baby.
We saw today his own party finds itself divided over how to handle the expiring Obamacare subsidies that are going to send premiums spiking for more than 20 million Americans in just a few weeks from now. I've got my panel of political experts here with me. And John King, obviously, the president there, the speech was designed to talk about what these first 11 months have looked like. What did you make of what you heard tonight?
Number one, blaming and grievances about Joe Biden, as you said right from the first sentence. Number two, maybe it was because he was rushing, because the White House promised the networks he would be 15 minutes or so. But the president seemed like he was shouting at times. He seemed a little angry, like, why do I have to give this speech? Number two, his point about next year, if you're a Republican, and we have two at the table, he better be right that this is all going to kick in next year, because it has not kicked in this year. And I'll end with this. He keeps blaming
military
Biden.
Doesn't pay rent.
His supporters agree with him that he inherited a mess. But they also remember that he said he was brilliant, he would fix it, it would be easy. And they're losing patience. And this is on Donald Trump's watch. This is not on Joe Biden's watch. The unemployment rate was 4% when he took office. It's 4.6% now. He talked about miners and bringing coal back. It's a modest number, but mining jobs in America are down since Donald Trump took office. Manufacturing jobs, he said his tariffs would create an American manufacturing renaissance. It's only been a few months. If you agree with tariffs, he deserves time, but the numbers today are down. Manufacturing is down. He talked about electricity and he blamed Joe Biden. Since January, electricity costs in the United States of America are up 7 to 10%, depending on where you live in the country. So some things are getting better on his watch. That's a fact. But some things are not. And if you're an average working family, a lot of those average working families have maxed out their credit cards. So if you have $7,000 in credit card debt, and you have one of the bad cards because you're not wealthy, so you have high interest rates, and you pay $150 a month, guess what? You're going to be paying that debt for the next 10 years. And you're going to pay 3 times as much as you borrowed to pay it off. That's the life of an American paycheck-to-paycheck family. And that didn't answer their questions.
Well, and
Van Jones is,
to that,
Van Jones is going to say something that is going to make me end the broadcast. I can already sense it.
The question
Look at
is
him.
For voters who
looking at his notes. He's about to talk about how the president was the most presidential tonight. But honestly, what I wanted to hear more from him was about how he was going to tackle anti-Semitism by bombing
the economy that they weren't feeling themselves. And what I fear is that Donald Trump is falling into the same trap as his predecessor, that instead of, I feel your pain, I understand that things hurt, but here's what I'm doing to try to make it better, give me some time. This message was, I'm awesome, don't you see how awesome I am? It felt a little bit like a State of the Union on, you can set a podcast to be like 1.2 speed. It felt a little bit like that. I don't think it was really his best, most charismatic work. And I fear that it did not strike a note the Americans who are saying, I don't think he's focused on the right issues. I wish that he was focused on cost of living because that's why I voted for him. They need to hear him acknowledge that they're not seeing it in their wallets yet so that he can give them hope that maybe they will for next year.
Yeah. Scott Jennings, I mean, you're very in touch with the president's base and what those voters want to hear. Do you think they heard that tonight?
Well, I think they wanted him to get back in the ring and start defining the
his
contours
job,
of the election.
Scott Jennings' job is to just say Trump is
he
doing
spent
great.
a lot of last year on foreign affairs to great success. But now we're moving into an election year, and the first line, I inherited a mess and I am fixing it, reminding people that we were in a deep hole, and that's why he got elected in the first place. He is going to have to ask
brilliantly
for
and
some
expertly,
forbearance from the
after a
American
year
people.
into his job, is still blaming his predecessor. It's cool when Trump does it, of course.
The centerpiece of his domestic policy agenda. The tax cuts are good, and he does have villains here. The health insurance companies are a good villain. The Democrats being at an 18% approval rating, that's a good villain. And so when you're going into an election, I think it's got two jobs. One, sell what you're doing, but two, you got to post up against the alternative. The American people just rejected the alternative a year ago, and now he needs them to reject the alternative
Yeah, we just
again.
need another year of Trump blaming Biden for all the problems that he's cooking up, like the tariffs or the electricity bills going up. That's Biden still. Biden's carcass. Biden's going to fucking die, and he's still going to be, electricity's up because of Biden.
I am not scared of that guy. I'm not. This is the first time I've seen a Donald Trump I'm not afraid of. He is exaggerating how bad things were. That's okay. He's exaggerating how good things are. That is great for us. That is fantastic. His big threat to Democrats is he was more in touch with ordinary people and everybody else. Yeah, the Democratic elite sitting up here talking big fancy words and coming up with some new thing to be worried about every day. And he was right there with the everyday people. This is not how everyday people are experiencing this economy or the country. People are scared. They are worried. They see a bunch of things that are happening that seem completely out of control. They're seeing shootings happening all over the place. This reverse migration is happening because rather than going after the cartels, these ICE agents are going after nannies and stuff. So the Latin community is backing off. So this is the first time you've seen a Donald Trump. He sounded a little scared. He sounded a little nervous. I don't know. Maybe he was just going too fast. I don't want to read anything into that. But I think if you're a Democrat who's sitting here tonight biting your nails, is this guy going to kill us, crush us? I think this is a beatable guy next year, and I think he proved it tonight.
And very quickly, a lot of Republicans wanted an answer on health care because it's dividing the party right now. He didn't give it to them. He said, we're going to give you money.
Nothing this man has
can't
to
pass
say
that.
is more important than Survivor
and a lot
Finale.
of Republicans wanted to figure what they're in a bind because they have legitimate philosophical, ideological differences about Obamacare.
I mean, we saw this playing out today on Capitol Hill.
Right.
Their moderate Republicans were saying, we're going to go with the Democrats on this because they were frustrated with the House Speaker on
to
it.
Scott's point about him being the leader, he is the leader of the party. On this one, he's kind of stepped back because he said in his first term, I'll repeal and replace, I'll have a plan. He said in this term he would, he didn't use those words again, but they would do it. And he's never put forward a plan to do it, in part because the Republican Party, the Trump Republican Party today, the Republican Party in the Obama days
that wasn't
voted
as bad
no.
as I
The Trump
expected, by the way,
Republican
from
Party
Van
today is all over
Jones.
the place.
I thought
There's
he
so
was
many
going to be
different
way
ideas,
worse.
they cannot come up with a consensus.
Well, on the House floor tonight, the House Republicans did pass a health insurance bill. It's not a replacement for the subsidies because most Republicans don't want to keep paying insurance companies, but they did pass a bill that the CBO says would lower premiums by 12%. So you're starting to see something come into play, but villainizing the health insurance companies, I still think is good politics.
He was agnostic atheist, not Jewish, and did theoretical research related mostly to astrophysics, not research that was competitive with oil companies at all.
That's a good thing. So that's the only thing I could find in there that I hadn't heard before. And giving some money to our soldiers is a good thing. Other than that, it was just a gift to Democrats.
Well, and given the numbers that he touted on the economy and what he said about bringing down prices fast, I want to bring in CNN's chief data analyst because here I think there are questions about what the president said tonight, what he touted, and how that squares with the numbers that you see.
Yeah, what do I see?
Holy
this is
Toledo.
a little bit of a fact check. We started off talking about affordability and prices and the idea that prices are coming down. But we can just look at the inflation rate year over year, Caitlin, and what can we see? Back in January, the inflation rate, according to CPI, was 3.0%. You saw by April it was dipping down. It was 2.3%. That was right around the time that the tariffs really started to get implemented. Look at where we are now in the latest reading, September. We'll get another reading out, I believe, tomorrow. But the latest reading we get out, 3%. That matches where we were in January, Caitlin. Prices have not, in fact, fallen according to the broadest measure of the inflation rate. He also spoke about jobs, right? Well, John King was talking about the unemployment rate. Look in January, it was 4.0%. By May, 4.2%. Now the latest reading that was out earlier this week, 4.6%, the highest unemployment rate since 2021. Now, these are the measures of the economy, right? But how do Americans actually feel about it? And all I can say is they feel awfully about it, because take a look here. Percentage, who just 20% of Americans say we're on the right track.
Who the
vast
fuck
majority
thinks
of
we're on the
Americans
right
think we're on
track?
just 27% of Americans think we're on the right track when it comes
what are these
to jobs in this
Americans
country. So
like?
we're talking
How
about
do you
under
find
30%
Americans who are
on
like,
two
no, I
key
love the
economic
inflation
metrics.
right now.
And
I
then I'll
love
leave
the
you with
job.
this, and that is Donald Trump's
I
economic
love being
net approval rating. It is
underemployed.
just flat out awful, and it has declined precipitously since the beginning of his second term in office. Look at this. Trump's net approval rating on the economy. In January, he was in positive territory at plus 6%. Way down he goes. Now, according to the latest Reuters Ipsos poll, he is 25 points underwater. Donald Trump was elected to fix the economy. It was a strength for him during his first term, but at this point, it is an anchor on him, and that is why we're seeing poll after poll after poll showing him with a net negative approval rating, and in some polls, the worst approval rating he has had in his entire second term.
Harrington, thank you for breaking down those numbers. And Kristen, I think that's the key question here is this is normally really strong territory for Donald Trump. It always historically has been. But when the president is coming out tonight
I thought
saying
like firing, terrifying a bunch of migrant workers was going to fix the economy and bring up, create new jobs. It has had the opposite effect. Please, I don't understand. What's the problem?
Come down and the American people
I guess we haven't deported enough.
He made a positive first step in that he is talking about the right issue, even if, in my estimation, I don't think he's talking about it the right way. I would advise him differently. It's clear that his advisors are seeing those numbers and are saying, Mr. President, in your first term, even when your job approval was low, your economic job approval was always above it. And now that that dynamic is inverted, you have to fix this. Because I've done so many focus groups where people will say, look, I don't like the tweets. I wish you would be nicer. I wish you'd be less divisive. But you know what? He's a businessman. He's good on the economy. That's the one thing that he cannot afford to lose as a part of his identity and how voters think about him. And there's only so much you can message into it if people aren't feeling it. But at least talking about this is a step in the right direction. I just wish he would talk about it in a way that I think would resonate with Americans
liberals are so fucking stupid.
Everything's
they
great.
literally just want to, even hearing the word affordability is enough for these guys.
Who obviously
at least he's talking about it.
Now they had a major split, and he calls her a traitor.
So I heard.
Regularly. I don't know if you've noticed
that.
She's
a Republican.
But one thing I asked
liberal.
her, I said, what do you want to hear from the president tomorrow night? Because her big thing has been focus on the domestic issues, not the foreign policy issues. And she said, Donald Trump is a billionaire and he needs to show empathy with what Americans are feeling. I mean, do you think that he showed that empathy tonight?
No, I just think it's a mistake. And listen, if he stays there, Democrats are going to have a great year. He's going to have to move off of that because right now he just says,
no, they won't.
Everything's fantastic. And by the way, if it's not fantastic, blame Biden. That's not going to work. And I think the other thing that I think is going to be important for people to keep in mind, you have a bunch of young people who bet on Donald Trump.
No, they don't. 17% approval rating for the Democrats.
There's no hope for them. He's not talking to them. You have a bunch of Latin people who bet on Donald Trump, and they wanted the bad guys taken out of their neighborhood. There's too much activity going on.
No doubt in my mind, someone connected to Trump, leaked this to Tucker to get some buzz ahead of the announcement and boost the ratings.
Right now, it got buyer's remorse. If he stays on this message, Democrat.
I want to bring in someone who was invoked during the president's speech here on set. That is Daniel Dale, our senior reporter and resident fact checker. Daniel, obviously, we heard a lot from the president in 15 minutes that were a lot of makes that request to the networks.
What a sight for sore eyes.
Caitlin, that was a fact check it, half asleep kind of presidential speech. So many of these claims have been debunked so many times. For example, the president said inflation has stopped. As Harry pointed out, it's not stopped. It's 3%. In fact, September, that 3% rate was the fifth consecutive month inflation had increased. The president also said that he inherited the worst inflation. He said some might say in the history of the country. Again, he inherited 3% inflation in January. Even the 9.1% peak of the Biden era in June 2022 was about a 40-year high, not a 48-year high, nowhere close to the all-time high.
Aaron Parnas cooked me.
He spoke of cutting prescription drug prices by 400 to 600%. Those figures are mathematically impossible. If you cut it by more than 100%, people would get paid to get their medications, which of course is not happening. He said the price of eggs has fallen, which is true.
I give it a year before Hasan becomes a right-wing influencer with how much shit he talks about the liberals.
Even on groceries.
Brother, you must not been in here for the last 12 fucking years of my political commentary career. That is such a funny ass take, dude. I have heard that my entire life. You must be new here, big dog. If you think I'm going to be turning fucking right wing anytime soon.
It's closer to 240.
Let me tell you something.
Are below $2 according to
The reason why I don't like liberals is because of their closeness to the Republicans, okay?
invaded the country under President Biden. Leaving aside this,
That's the reason why I don't like liberals.
25 million. It was under 11 million, and that counts millions of people who were rapidly expelled from the country. Crime was nowhere close to record high under President Biden. He has not settled, President Trump has not settled 8 wars. That list includes various wars, various situations that were not even wars, and some conflicts that have not actually been resolved. I could go on. I don't have time. So visit CNN.com and we'll have a full list later.
Daniel Dale, we are grateful for what you did have time for. Thank you very much for that. Of course, we're going to continue analyzing the president's speech because as he addressed the nation tonight, we're seeing new cracks inside his own party. The question is how wide those could grow. I've got sources on Capitol Hill who are going to join me live right after this.
Yeah, the irony is stick around for a year, chatter, and you will also understand why I have so much anger for the way liberals conduct themselves. Was there anything new or noteworthy? Yeah, all the same stuff. It was complete ass. I think ultimately it was extra ass. And the reason why it was extra ass is because Donald Trump was really rushed through it in an effort to get through the entire speech. I don't know if they gave him crack or the good kind of Sudafed or something, but he was going nutty mode and he was yelling quite a bit. But let's take a look at the real truth tellers for a second. Okay, let's see what this fucking dipshit Newt Gingrich has to say about Donald Trump's speech.
For the entire debate over the next year and laid out what Biden did to make the country a disaster, what Trump has already done, and where we are going in general and why that's the right direction. I think it's a very, very important speech.
I thought it was very iconoclastic in terms of it shattered the Democratic talking point, affordability. Number one, he laid out that the affordability crisis was caused by them. I don't think anybody can watch that speech and not walk away with that conclusion. Senator Barrasso used the term political shock and awe. And then you just go back a year ago. He's just shy of 11 full months in office. And wow, what a comparison of what we had and the force of nature that the country saw tonight. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that there's no question this is one of the most consequential presidents in American history. And he has begun, if he can win next year, and I think he will, I think we'll keep the House and the Senate and probably gain seats in both.
You are fucking the Lulu, Newt.
I think he really begins to rival the top 3 or 4 presidents in American history because
oh my God, the glaze. I've never seen such disrespect.
The Rooseveltian majority, which has been there for 90 years.
Get his ugly ass penis out of your mouth, Newt. You scumbag.
Back towards being a work-oriented, meritocracy-oriented country that encourages
I apologize, chatters. I know that this is supposed to be a broadcast where I don't show you
we are going to pull away
this level of dick sucking
because of the sheer dynamic of the American economy when it has a cheerleader president who is himself an entrepreneur. It makes all the difference in the world.
Mr. Speaker, let's look forward. 2026, midterm election year.
Blowing bubbles on that shit.
3 times in the last 100 years did the party in power maintain control. 4 times in 150 years.
Hey, yo, my mom is in the room. Yeah, she's learning new tricks from Newt, okay? They've changed it, calling it a Newt Gingrich. That's what they're calling a blowjob nowadays. Oh,
but you were the
I got a Newt Gingrich the other day. Shit was awesome.
After 40 years in the wilderness. Tell me how this president can defy historical trends in this way. Is it all going to be based on the economy and peace around the globe? Because peace and prosperity tend to...
I'm kirking my shit right now. Think about that Newt I got the other day.
People are going to say to themselves, is it working? Whatever it is. If they say it's not working, they're going to vote for the Democrats.
This is why I can't show you to my family.
Unbelievably better with President Trump. When you talk about the war on drugs, it's dramatically better with Trump. When you start talking about sheer volume of American production, it's better with Trump.
It's so crazy because, like, all of the supposedly positive things that are going to happen, outright lies. Okay. He said, like, he got $18 billion in IOUs. Bullshit. $18 trillion in IOUs. Bullshit. Also, much lower number than the number he was presenting before in IOUs. He said that inflation's under control. Also bullshit. He said that we have the new thing, the new meta from Stephen Miller and like America First posters, like all the Groypers is, oh, sure, the job market is actually ass right now, except it's ass for migrants, okay? All of the undocumented migrants are losing their jobs, And that's why all the jobs are, all the new jobs that are available, there's not many of them, but the ones that are available that we're creating exclusively for American citizens. It's the classic, like, oh, we're not slashing $800 billion in Medicare coverage and Medicaid coverage. We're actually slashing Medicare for the migrants. It's bullshit. It's not real. But it's so stupid. And yet, for a particular type of person that tunes into this stuff, they do legitimately believe it. Like, it's a lie, but they believe it.
Would not want to be in the position of the shoes of Democrats. They have to hope that the president's policies fail, that the economy doesn't recover, that somehow, his border policies and his peace policies are not successful. I don't think that's a good position to be in. Mr. Speaker, we appreciate your time. All right, when we come back, we'll continue with a lot of other breaking news to cover tonight. A live update on the manhunt for the Brown University shooter.
Oh my God, how fast they're switching off the Trump speech implies that even the Fox News audience is not feeling it. They're not rocking with it. They literally are like, oh, the manhunt for the Brown University shooter is imminent. Okay, that's it. Donald Trump just gave a pivotal fucking speech at a time when his popularity is diminishing. The economy's in the pooper. Everyone's fucking angry. He gave 15 minutes of whatever kind of cracked out speech that he was delivering, and you're just going to move on from that? That's crazy. Come on now, man. Also, let's see what Lindsey Graham had to say, because the Fox News panel on Hannity earlier had Lindsey Graham on too.
So the trend lines are real. Mr. President, you just did not say the best is yet to come. You proved to the American people that when it comes to their prosperity and security, by this time next year, you will see a major difference.
When these
major difference. When the cuts are implemented, you'll see your fucking healthcare
issue will be
fall
back
by
in
the
the
wayside.
labs come January with no clear end in sight.
He's definitely right. These are not normal times. Manu Raju, thank you for that on Capitol Hill. My next source tonight, joining us here at the table, is Republican Congressman Kevin Kiley of California. Congressman, first off, I want to ask about what's going on up in your neck of the woods, but what did you make of the president's speech tonight? Did he hit the right tone on affordability?
Well, he certainly hit the key issues when it comes to affordability, housing, energy, taxes, and a whole host of other areas. I think people feel like things are way less affordable than they should be, and it's way too hard to get by than it should be right now in many parts of the country. And I do have to say, my constituents are in California, where we are the most unaffordable state in the entire country. We have the highest price of gas, of electricity, of water bills, of housing, taxes, you name it, and we have the highest real poverty rate as well. So that does inform my perspective. I think that the way that we have overregulated all of these sectors in California does hold some lessons for how we can reduce the cost of living for folks all across the country.
So is the message from the president tonight one that Republicans can run on, in your view? It sounds like no.
Well, I think that the fundamental message that the president was trying to get at tonight, and that all of us in Congress need to be focused on, is that the American people are concerned about the cost of living. And so, we can quibble with how much of this was Biden's fault, how much of it has not been addressed adequately by the current administration, whether the numbers he cited are really being experienced by people on a day-to-day basis. But the reality is, I think we can all agree that it is far too hard to get by for far too many families in this country right now. And so we need to be focused like a laser on trying to reduce the cost of living.
Well, and on healthcare specifically, you voted yes on that bill today. You said it's good policy, but you basically said it has no chance of becoming law. Like, it'll pass the House, but it's not going anywhere after that. Why did you vote yes on it then?
Well, it's not in front of me, but it was a fundamental failure to actually bring to the floor a bill that would address the expiration of these subsidies, which is going to cause 22 million people to have a massive increase in costs.
Well, they're going to have to vote now on this discharge petition, which, just to basically put it in regular terms, if it passes, would extend the subsidies for 3 years. If that comes for a vote, when it comes for a vote in January, will you vote yes on that?
I would think about it. The problem with that, and I want to be clear, I've signed 2 discharge petitions on this issue, and I've proposed my own bill that has bipartisan co-sponsors to extend the ACA subsidies. And I have been extremely critical of Speaker Johnson for not bringing any of these compromise measures to the floor. But Leader Jeffries hasn't supported any of the compromises either. He told his own members not to sign on to those, instead to go with this other 3-year proposal without reforms that we know isn't going to become law. How do we know that? The Senate already rejected it. So that's the problem we have right now, is we have the leaders on both sides who are trying to blame the other side for the problem rather than trying to solve the problem.
Yeah, but one of the leaders can bring a vote to the floor, one cannot, obviously, as you know. And when it comes to what Mike Johnson said to Manu Raju tonight, if the House Speaker has lost control of the House?
I think that a lot of our members have sensed that we haven't had the leadership that we would like in terms of being involved in the key policy areas. And by the way, Leader Jeffries could get a bill to the floor.
He's a Republican in California, okay?
Compromise measures, just like that other
His
bill.
Seat is no longer going to exist.
Because that's the one that he endorsed.
A lot of these guys, a Republican in California, especially right now when we're talking about like redistricting efforts and stuff, they're going to sound like the average liberal.
People, including more than 40,000 people in your district, get their health care through the exchange. A guy called the President of the United States might call everybody to the White House and say, this is a national emergency. This is a big deal. I disagree with Obamacare. I said, I don't have the votes to repeal and replace it. Let's try something. Where's that?
Yeah. Sure.
Did you get that tonight?
I don't think he addressed the expiration of the subsidy issue specifically. I mean, and a lot of what you hear from...
He
has to live the fuck up.
If you guys can't figure this out, come down here and I'm going to bang some heads until we do.
Belden posted he's on a podcast with Hakeem Jeffries. I know I played a role in that. Fun fact.
Talk about the ACA and the effect
PFD
that's
this morning
cost,
on the
which
pooper.
is maybe true as far as it goes, but it's of no help to the people who are about to experience a huge increase in premiums. But to your point, I really think that the onus is on the legislature, on the House, on Congress to come up to a solution to this. A lot of the critique that we get right now is that the House is not being proactive enough. So this really was an opportunity for us to take the lead. And there is a large bipartisan group of members who have been trying to get one of these compromises through. Unfortunately, you just haven't had the leadership from the Speaker, and I would have to say from the Minority Leader, to make that happen.
In 2010 and 2012, Republicans used this issue, Obamacare, and made huge gains. In every election since then, Democrats have used it. You have to be sitting there thinking we have the smallest majority. The Speaker's right. In history, you don't even know what district you're going to run in because of Prop 50. They read through the lines in your state. If Republicans don't figure this out and healthcare affordability remains on that list of other affordability issues, and it remains pretty high because of the cost of that, aren't you going to get pummeled and lose the majority? Isn't that the incentive to try to figure something out in the short term, or else you're going to get killed?
Well, I would say the incentive is to stop our constituents from actually having to suffer. So that should be apart from the politics of this.
Amen.
We're talking about 22 million people, right?
He's talking like a nonpartisan. I wonder why.
15% approval
rating. I care about my constituents. What happened? You don't want to stick it to the woke libtards anymore? What happened?
Down to single digits. And so
this is what happens when you're no longer in a fucking red district, chat. You see that?
I agree. The Speaker has a very tough job.
You know, I mean, if you're a California Republican, you already have like
everything in a strictly partisan
you're on a tightrope
way.
anyway.
If we actually have policy that's bipartisan from the beginning, then maybe we could
better start learning how to speak Democrat, buddy.
Send me home a day early this week. Are you cool with that?
I'm not too happy about that. I mean, I've been saying, like, even when it looks like this vote isn't going to happen, we still have 2 more days. I even tried to bring an amendment to rules last night that would have got the subsidies extended. So just throwing away one of those days, I'm not happy with it. And I certainly wasn't happy with the 6 weeks that he canceled before.
Congressman Kevin Kiley, a lot of time at home for y'all these days.
Yeah, bro,
thank you for joining us here.
9 at 10 on CNN.
Bro got a visit from the woker, okay? Well, you know, I care about my constituents. That's the only thing I care about. Also, I wanted to get started on the show by talking about how we are currently due a land acknowledgement, and I think that's kind of fucked up. And I'm here to protect my transgender constituents in my newly designed district that will be plus 10 blue. Gonna be quite difficult for me to win. Machado White House visit is in the works. Trump allies are organizing a White House visit for far-right Venezuelan coup leader Maria Corina Machado. Machado wants to give Trump her Nobel Peace Prize medal to thank him for waging war on Venezuela to show that the strength is a force of peace. War is peace, source is semaphore. Wow. Glaze. Dick riding. Oh my God. Dick eating. We need to stop. We need to put an end to this dick eating, okay? Too much. It's too much. It's too much. Okay? I've had enough. I've seen enough. I've had enough. We need to stop. This is why you don't simply imprison coup leaders. Wait, what do you absolutely do imprison coup leaders? I think in Venezuela's case, a big part of the problem is they didn't ever. I know you meant do something else, but like the reality of the matter is that's a huge problem with Venezuelan history. They straight up didn't do that. And, you know, there you go, have it. There you have it. Anyway, did you see admin put a Halloween party as a other achievement? I love that. You need to put, like Bolsonaro was insta jailed. Put him in jail, okay? He can get all the medical attention in jail that he needs. You know, I know he loves going to the hospital. A jail is kind of like a hospital when you think about it. All right, let's finish off this video from Alex Novell. Ethan Klein's War on Women content terminator.
And I'm just that kind of guy. The world is wide enough for all of us. Hamilton. So don't worry.
Going over 8 hours, maxing out your no tax on overtime? Yep.
Don't worry. You know what I mean? We go from the bottom up, and everybody's catching these hands.
If Ethan put half as much effort into making his podcast entertaining as he did into obsessing over online snarkers and Hassan Piker and filing frivolous lawsuits, he definitely wouldn't be hemorrhaging 10,000 subscribers every single month. He just doesn't care about that anymore. And I don't know if he'll ever be able to come back from that.
We never had to clickbait anything. Like, we would upload like Thanksgiving, you laugh, you lose, whatever. That would get like 1 million views.
True,
you didn't have to
clickbait
it. You didn't have to be sensational. You're just like, here's a candy tier list. Those used to get a fucking 1 million views. Yeah. Candy tier list, man. If we uploaded that now, content that I know people wanted to watch because they were watching it. Yeah. What would that get? Like less than 10,000 views?
Probably. You know? Yeah, I wonder why. I wonder, maybe because you fucking literally hemorrhaged your main community and your audience.
Time is a flat circle. Everything we've ever done or will do, we're gonna do over again.
Well, the same metaphor can be applied to careers on YouTube. At the beginning of his career, Ethan blew up for his lawsuit establishing a matter of law for reaction videos on YouTube. But now everyone on YouTube is blowing up at him for trying to change that definition to suit his goals of silencing his critics.
Yeah, Ethan Klein's lawsuit with Matt Haas is one of the most important lawsuits when it comes to YouTube. I have cited it, I don't even know, countless amount of times in my article. It's the only lawsuit that really took it that far, that really established what constitutes fair use on YouTube. And Ethan Klein kind of transforming into the person that was attacking him beforehand is, you know, something that I have noticed. You know, you start out as the guy who's defending fair use, creating the FUPA fund, and, you know, trying to represent creators against bullies like that. And then you are using the legal system with your own, you know, monetary privilege because you're a lot richer than these people you're suing. But
you guys want to see how fucked up my foot is? For all of those that stuck around for this, you want to see? It's fucked up. A lot of no's in the chat. It's literally, you can't really fully tell, but it's like swollen all the way up to my fucking toes, dude. I just took it off the cast. That's why it looks weird. But there's also purple on this side too. Look at this. It's fucked up. Closer to the wiki feet score drop 2 points. Okay, I don't care. I'm basically fucking rotting. What did you do to it? I rolled my ankle so hard that it fucked my entire ankle up.
By the way, my favorite part about this is like, you guys can shitpost on Twitter all you want, but this is an actual lawsuit and it's happening and it's coming and you're gonna have to argue in front of a judge. This shit is not gonna work, right? It's not gonna work. That's the best part about this. You guys are fucking screaming into the wind.
In many ways, Ethan Klein has become just like—
Both feet? No, that's 1 foot. It's just my left foot.
Like all the guys that he used to fight so hard against when he was younger and less wealthy. Matt Haas—
I did go to the hospital. Chatters. I went and I got an x-ray. I did it all. Okay, calm down.
Tried to silence Ethan for defaming him. But now Ethan is the one doing the silencing. Ethan is the one reacting to the court-settled apology instead of the one making the court-settled apology. And I bet at times that feels like a victory for him and his community. But in reality, it's just not.
I win. I win, you lose. And you will continue to lose, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm not done. I'll never be done.
Instead, it makes him look like a bigger and bigger villain to potential subscribers. I mean, who's gonna want to subscribe as a new watcher in the middle of all this drama when a regular H3 podcast episode looks like this?
You called me a racist. You said that I'm hallucinating anti-Semitism. You came and you swung at the king. And you know what they say when you swing at the king, Dan?
I'm confused. Who's the king?
I am.
There's a saying in capitalist America that people vote with their dollar. Well, that saying doesn't really work or apply here anymore, but here on YouTube,